What's going on, world? And welcome to Clearing the Wreckage Podcast. It's the voice and your host, Kareem A. Rashid. And once again, I don't know what you got going on. You could be getting on the toilet, or you could be getting off the toilet. Hell, for all I know, you could be wiping your tushy. But I know that I'm ready, and so I hope that you're ready to clear the wreckage. Yes, indeed. What's going on, my peeps? You already know what time it is. Thank you so much for meeting up with me today. I got my Cafe Americano. I know you got your favorite drink as well. And let's get on into it because, as you know, because I've already updated you on social media, I'm late. And I know a lot of you out there who are part of this community actually look forward to meeting with me every week, and you look forward to meeting with me at a certain time. You probably have a certain ritual that you practice at a certain time where you're like, oh, well, the episode is already out and I'm going to listen to it at this time. So I apologize greatly if I am late for you. Some of you may not listen to it till the next day, so I might be right on time. Who knows? It depends on what you do in your time when you want to get together with Kareem, your buddy, old pal. Listen, folks, so by this time, right, you and I, we together have cultivated honesty, willingness, and open-mindedness in our journey together of clearing the wreckage, right? In our journey together of growing up. I know y'all hate when I say that, but it's just the truth. I had to grow up. And of course, in our journey together of growth and personal development, and in our spiritual journey, clearing the wreckage is a spiritual journey. It is a spiritual path. Yes. And you know, like, I love to break down words, right? So if you take the word spiritual, the word ritual is inside of spiritual. You cannot spell spiritual without ritual, right? So together we are developing daily rituals, daily practices, a daily walk, a way of life. Yes, a way of life. And now it is time to humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings, our defects of character, our character flaws, whatever you want to call them. The things that hinder us from being of usefulness to God and of usefulness to other people. Now it is time to humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. Yes, that is the title of today's conversation, today's episode. Let's get right into it. I will share with you first my experience of this. And then after that, I will reassure you with some research that I've done to show you how it does actually help. But you will be able to hear that when you hear my experience. And that is what clearing the wreckage is all about. You know, that's why you like listening to me. That's why you come to my podcast every single week. That's why you meet with me in the imaginary coffee shop that we have, right? That's why you're waiting on me in anticipation. Because you know that I am sharing with you my experience. Now, what other podcast host is doing that? I know. There are some people out there that I actually listen to that do that as well. But they aren't sharing every detail with you. And I'm not sharing every detail with you either. But I'm sharing it with you in a way so much that you are able to identify and relate to this, that you are just so ready for next week's episode after this, when you're like, man, I can't wait till next week to get together with Kareem. Man. And I am willing, I am open, and I am honest enough at this point in my life to say, hey, here I am. Take me as I am. Take me as I am. No filter. No nothing. This is me being the most authentic version of myself. When I am here with you, I am being completely authentic and real. So the first thing I want to start off by saying, and this is going to be honest and real with you now, I did not know any of this at all. I did not know that I needed help. In other words, I did not know that I was immature. I did not know that. I did not know that I created destruction, havoc, wreckage. Man, I didn't know none of that about myself. And secondly, I did not know that these things existed inside of me that were holding me back from growth. So, but by this time in my journey, I knew. I definitely knew. So for me, I only thought everyone else was the problem. Remember? You guys remember that? But in terms of recovery, let me speak recovery to you. I only thought, well, maybe I just have a drinking problem. Yep, so let me try this recovery thing out, because maybe I do have a drinking problem. And I found out, yes, I do have a drinking problem. But as you know, and as I have shared with you, it turns out I have a thinking problem. Yes. Remember that my thoughts create my reality. Our thoughts create our reality. Remember that my thoughts come first, then the action. Your thoughts come first, then the action. So how I thought about myself, how I thought about God, and how I thought about others comes first. It came first. Then my actions toward myself, toward God, and others followed. Folks, listen, that is the equation. That's the equation. Now, some of us may want to argue that equation and say, nah, Kareem, that ain't how it goes, man. You know, I don't think about anything first. I just act. And the reason I'm acting is because God did not rescue me from this person or this thing or this place. Right? Come on. Let's be honest with one another. Therefore, in turn, it is God who made me like this. Please do not forget that I have already openly shared with you that I was one of those people. Yes. Or some will say, well, it is due to how my parents raised me, and because of that, naturally I am the way that I am. Because of them. I do and I act the way that I do because of them, and that was also me. And the list goes on. Of course, I could blame anything and anyone, but the fact still remains that those thoughts started up in my noggin. If you're watching on YouTube, I just pointed to the top of my head. They started up in my noggin. Yep. They started up there first, then my actions followed. And so we can conclude that my thinking is, it's a little foggy, right? A little immature. Maybe I think a little bit like a baby. Maybe it is a little bit false thinking that goes on up there. Maybe it's out of bounds. And I would say maybe it is the same for you. However, we found this amazing truth out together, right? We sat down with our mentors or our therapists or a trusted friend, and we shared the exact nature of our own. That's what we did last week. That's what we did last week. We are caught up with that. So like I said, by this time, you have already done this vital step. You have already shared the exact nature of your wrongs with God and to another human being. And so the truth begins to free us, begins to give us some type of clarity, and begins to heal us. And then another amazing thing that happened for me and for us, we finally felt grace. I finally felt what grace really was. Folks, this is what happened when I sat at that park with my mentor, and when I sat there alone with God. The burden of guilt and shame and fear was beginning. It was beginning to become a little bit more lighter. After sharing with my mentor, I became extremely and entirely ready to have God remove my character flaws, and then I humbly asked God to remove my shortcomings. This, my friends, was another experience where I began to hear, right? You remember how I had an experience like that before I started going to the support group that my therapist suggested to this recovery group, remember? But this was another experience where I began to hear, where my mind opened up a little bit more, where I felt my full being connect genuinely with God. I was in total alignment as one. We were one. This was a completely different and new experience. When I tell you this, I never experienced anything like it. And let me just share with you my experience then. I grew up with a religious experience in both Islam and Christianity. But my friends, this wasn't anything like that. This was a spiritual experience. Yes. You know, I thought God was going to send me to hell. He was going to send me straight to hell. And you know, I thought that pretty much all my life. And because I thought God was going to send me straight to hell, I was like, well, the hell with it. The hell with this. The hell with this. I'm going to hell. Hell. If I'm already condemned and I'm going to hell, I might as well condemn myself. Let's go. The hell with it. That is how I thought. That is how I thought. I believed, folks, in a God that was the Punisher. Doom, doom, doom. The Punisher. Yes, when I did something wrong, I am going to be punished for it. I am going to be condemned. And if I continue doing wrong, I am going straight to hell. Yes. Yes. And that is the way that I thought. That was my thinking. And I also thought, you know, God is going to turn me into dust right now, while I'm sitting here sharing all of this wreckage with my mentor, telling him the exact natures of my wrong, and God's going to doggone do it. Right in front of him, he's just going to smite me. I'm going to be crushed. I'm doomed. I will be punished for my wrongdoing. That's the God I grew up with. And that's the only God that I knew. And then the interesting thing about it is that nothing happened as I sat there. Nothing happened. I thought, wait for it. Here comes the lightning, or here comes you're about to be dust in any moment now. God was just waiting for your mentor to walk away from the park so that he can actually have his way with you. That was my thinking. That was my thinking. But nothing happened as I sat there. God didn't wipe me off of the planet. Instead, I felt grace. I felt forgiveness. I felt love. I felt comfort. I felt peace. And this was for the first time in my life ever. I raise my hand. I attest to that. This is the first time in my life I ever felt those things I just shared with you. I ever felt love. I felt comfort. I felt peace. I felt forgiveness. I felt grace. Yes. Then it's produced such a profound sense of humility and a deflation of ego that I knew God is right here with me. I knew at that moment right then that God is right there, and God was right there in that moment at the park. I did not feel alone. I felt normal, which is something I never felt. I felt balanced, which is something I never felt. I did not feel extremely small or extremely big. I felt connected. I no longer felt separated. I was feeling separated and doomed and condemned all of my life. I didn't feel any of that. No. And the cool thing about it is I began to see things differently. I began to experience God differently. I began to experience people differently. I got to share this with you. I got to share this because this is part of this episode. I got to share this with you. Do you know that I was that guy? I was that guy. I was that guy that told you how you should act. I was that guy that told you how you should be thinking, how you should think, how you should act, how you should go out from here. I was that guy. I was the guy to tell you what the Bible says. I was the guy to thump you across the head with the Bible. I was. I'm going to share an experience with you. So before all of this happened in 2016, I was, I don't think I told you exactly where I was working at, but I had a job. I mean, I think I told you that I got the job in 2012, right? I started work, and I was going to church at the time, and I was thumping people across the head with the Bible. I was like, oh my God, you're going to hell if you keep acting like this. And I did this every time I saw someone doing something wrong. And I did not just do this at work. I did it every single place that I went. So imagine me being that guy. Every place I went, when I saw you do something wrong, I walked up to you and said, the scripture says. That's what I did. Whatever I thought did not align with my belief systems, you needed to know. You needed to know. You needed to be corrected, and you needed to know. Have you ever had someone like that in your life? Well, I apologize for being that guy, because I was that guy in everybody's life. Yes. Even when I was younger, I'd be like, the Quran says you shouldn't eat pork. So why are you eating this, my brother? Why are you eating this? And so even when I got a little older and I, made a conversion to Christianity, I would say, well, the Bible says you should not use God's name in vain. So why are you cursing him? That's what I used to do. Even the famous one. Well, the Bible says you should not judge. So why are you judging that person and talking about them like that? And I know you probably can't even believe that I was actually that guy doing that. You probably can't believe it, but I'm telling you the God honest truth. That is who I was. You better get your life right or else you're going to hell. That is who I was. I even took it further than that because I was raised in a church that thought they were the only church. And if you weren't going to that church, you were going to hell. So I used to walk around and tell people the same thing. I just wanted to just share that with you so you could know. So you could know a little background of me and who I was. And as you can see, I am a completely different person now. And the funny thing is, when I will tell people you shouldn't be judging, I was the one that was judging people. I was judging everybody. Everyone I came across received judgment. I was the one, let's just put it simple. I was the one who became God on this earth. Yep. What Kareem commands, you better follow or else. That is who I became. This is why, my friends, this part of the process of clearing the wreckage was vital and is vital, and we must not skip this. I had to humbly ask God. But by then, I was humbled, all right? I was humbled. I was definitely humbled because I remembered, man, look at all this wreckage that I shared with my mentor, and I walked around judging everybody else because of their wreckage, because of their behaviors, because of their destruction, because of their havoc, because of their attitude, when I was the one walking around with the attitude, with the resentment, with all of these fears and insecurities, and with the ego the size of Africa. So you best believe I was humbled. And that whole experience produced such a humility in me that I truly needed. I realized my thinking was the problem. I realized I was the problem. Maybe it is time for you to realize that right now. As we have this conversation, it is time for you to realize that right now. Your thinking is the problem. Remember, your thinking creates the action. So your thinking is the problem. And you, my friend, somebody's got to tell you. Let me start preaching up here. You are the problem. I mean, as simple as that. I came to that realization, I am the problem. And no, the other realization I came to is that I cannot change anything. I can't change other people. I can't change these places. I can't change these things. I can't change my own thinking. I can't get rid of my guilt. I can't get rid of my shame. I can't get rid of these fears. I can't get rid of this insecurity. I can't get rid of this anger. I can't get rid of these resentments. They keep popping up. I keep obsessing over the same thing over and over. I could not stop judging people. I could not. Because remember, every time one of these defects of character came up, I needed the bottle. Shall I remind you, I was the baby that needed the bottle. Whenever I was irritated, wah, wah, somebody better give me something to drink. Or else. I could not change anyone, anything, any place. I couldn't even change my own thoughts. Wow. So I needed to take action. The action was to drink or use drugs or take from someone or manipulate some girl to get what I want and or what I felt I needed. I was searching. Whenever those things popped up, I started searching for relief. That's what I was searching for. Because I could not change my thinking. I could not control my thinking. I was powerless over my thinking. And I hated the fact that I couldn't control it. And I hated the way that I thought, which led to me hating myself, self-loathing, which produced more guilt, more shame, more fear, more insecurity. Yes. I was searching. I needed validation, acceptance, and love. Then lo and behold, I realized this foundational truth, that I cannot do any of this on my own. That is a foundational truth, my friends, and you cannot either. Regardless of how much you think that you have so much willpower that you can, I can do it. No. You thought that you can lift that amount of weights, but it seems that you need a spot. You need a helper. Someone to lift those pounds off of your chest. That, my friends, is a foundational truth that we all need help. Because again, as I just shared with you, the more I tried, the more I felt weaker and weaker. You know the analogy. I just shared it with you. Now, imagine yourself in the gym right now. And you're pumping iron and you're like, man, okay. And then, I did this many pounds last week, so I probably can up it this week and do this. And you're like, and I could probably do this many reps. And you get to, you got 3 more reps left. And you set a goal for you. You said, I can do it. And you make it through one of those out of the 3. You're like, oh. And then you get to that second one out of the third one, and you're like, oh my God, I can't do this. And you're trying your best. You're struggling so hard. You're trying your best to lift that up. And then your spotter comes, and he or she goes, I got it. And they help you. Come on, you can do it. And they encourage you, and they motivate you. Come on, you can do it. Just come on. And then, but that third one, oh man. And they're encouraging you. Come on, you got one more, you can do it. And you can't even get it off your chest. This is just the last one that you got to do, and you don't have any power. You have no more strength left. You can't even push that thing off of your chest. Your spotter has to just come and lift it up off of you completely. This, my friends, is what God does for us. God does for us what we cannot do for ourselves. And I needed that. I needed that humility while I'm sitting there trying to lift. 3 out of 3. I'm like, I'm on the third one. I can do it. This is the last one. And I'm trying to lift, and I can't even push this thing off of my chest. I feel like my chest is caving in. I feel like my chest is going to be crushed. I'm dying. I'm powerless. I'm weak. And I'm continually weakening. I needed God to do for me what I cannot do for myself. You needed that spotter to come in and just go, hey, I got it, and just take it off of you, because you could not do that yourself. That's the analogy. Don't let me start preaching up in here to you today. So the more I felt weaker and weaker, the more I winded up repeating the same behaviors. The more I created the same wreckage, the more I winded up going and doing the same thing. Yes. But God was the only source that I needed. Why? To receive that acceptance and validation and love. For I was powerless over my thinking. My thinking was like that barbell. I could not think straight. My willpower and yours alone is insufficient. It's insufficient. So and that is, my friends, a very humbling process. It's so humbling. And that's just one example. I mean, it could be a box that you're trying to lift. You ordered this package from Amazon, and you did not know. You probably didn't even know how heavy it was going to be. But it's got to your doorstep, and you're the only one home. Your wife is not there, or your husband isn't there. Or you stay with friends, and they're not there, and you're like, man, I can get this into the house. I can lift this up. I can do it. I'm powerful. I'm strong. I got this. And you try to lift it up, and you hurt yourself. You hurt your back. And you try to do it again, and you hurt yourself. And then you try to do it again, and you hurt yourself. You see the pattern that constantly is on a continuum? And you just won't give up because you're like, I can do it. I'm not waiting for them to come home. I'm not going to ask for help. You got too much pride. You got too much pride to ask for their help. You're not asking for anybody's help. I can do it myself. That's a baby. That's a baby. Don't let me go there with you and start preaching, dog. I'm about to go off on a tangent with you now. That's a baby. That's what toddlers do. You know, mom or dad are trying to help them to button up their shirt. No, I got it. I can do it. I can do it. Then they think they got it, and they're walking there thinking they got it. And they done put the buttons on the wrong way. They done missed buttons. Mom or dad has to come and fix their shirt later on. Come here, son. Come here, daughter. It is time for us to grow up and stop being babies. And I tell you what, it's a humbling experience when you're trying to pick that package up and you cannot do it. You cannot get this package into the door. The door is a few inches away, and you're trying. You're like, man, it's only a few inches. I can do it. And you're trying so hard, and you do it 3 times. You keep trying, and you keep hurting yourself until you finally give up and you ask for help. You humbly ask, because by this time you're humbled. You have become right size. You have become normal. You have become balanced again. You realize, I know that I'm strong, but I don't have that much. I don't have that much strength, and that's okay. Someone is there that can help me with this. That, my friends, is humility, and that is what we need for this step, for this part in this process of clearing the wreckage, what we're talking about today. So let me also share with you some of the things before I go into that, actually. So I just want to share with you that our willpower is insufficient, as I said, to overcome deeply ingrained flaws. Relying on a power greater than us is a necessary act of humility and surrender, right? And this will lead to a profound personal and spiritual transformation. You become transformed after you realize that you can't do it, and you allow someone else to help you. you become transformed. Trust me, my friends, that is why this is vital. It is vital. It is vital for sustained growth and development. Self-reliance was not enough. It was not enough for me. And it's not enough for you. So I had to ask God, nope, and not the God that I grew up with. This is the transformation part. Not the God that I grew up with, not the God of punishment, but I asked the God of love, the God of grace, the God of all power, the God of forgiveness, the God of all healing. This is the God that I did not know before. But like I told you, I experienced this new God. And that's the God I needed. I experienced this new God. As I've just shared with you that experience, I did not get smited. I did not turn into dust. I experienced the grace and the forgiveness of this God, of my higher power. So, therefore, I needed to believe in this God, in that understanding of God. Not the understanding that I had when I grew up. No, I had to understand God differently. And I had to go through that experience in order to understand God differently, in order to connect with God differently. Yes. So I experienced this new God, and that is the God that I needed, and that is the God that I still need. I need forgiveness. I need grace. I need love. I need healing. I need clearing of this wreckage. Yes. So I believe that this is the God that can do for me what I cannot do for myself, basically. Which then, by humbly asking this God, it opened the door for God's grace and power to work within me, purify me, and clearing the wreckage that I could never do alone, at least. I could never do it alone. All right, so let's start wrapping this up. So I've shared with you my experience. That was my full experience that I've shared with you. Back then, that was my experience. This is still my experience to the day, and the experiences get better and better and more transformational every single day, every single time that I connect with my Creator, that I connect with my higher power, that I connect with God, and I ask, please remove my ego. Is in the way right now of usefulness to you and usefulness to others. This anger is in the way right now. Please, God, I need you to remove this so I can be of service to you, and I can be of service to others. Right now, God, I'm so frustrated. Can you please take this away from me? Because I believe that you have the power to help me with this, because I can't do it. If I try to do it, I'm just going to stay frustrated. I'm just going to have another resentment, and I'm going to obsess over the same thing. And then eventually I might go back out there and start drinking again. I might start doing really crazy behaviors, wreckage, if I do not believe and experience you, or if I don't depend and trust in your power to clear the wreckage. Yes. So here's how it helps in clearing the wreckage and in our personal growth and development. Now, I've already shared with you my complete personal experience. Let me back this up with just some research, and you've already heard all of this. You've heard all of it in the story I just shared with you. You've heard it all in my experience. But let's go ahead and sum this up for you. The process of humbly asking for help leads to genuine humility, which is a balanced awareness, right? It's a balanced awareness of your gifts and your flaws, moving you away from the extremes of pride and shame. Humility is a cornerstone of spiritual growth. Acknowledging your own struggles, right? Your own shortcomings helps us to view others with empathy and understanding, right? It helps us to know that they too are imperfect and they too are struggling, which improves our relationships and our community, our connection, right? Also, regular sincere prayer and reliance on a higher power, as I just stated, creates a closer, more intimate relationship with God, allowing you to experience divine guidance and power and love and strength and hope in your daily life. While our character defects may not disappear instantly, asking God for help initiates a journey of patient improvement. This commitment to an ongoing process, clearing the wreckage, basically, coupled with the divine support, replaces negative behaviors with positive qualities like honesty, integrity, and self-control, which leads to lasting change and purpose, which leads to a transformation, basically. Also, by asking God that these shortcomings be removed, it shifts the focus from self to the service of others. Reason being is because my or your fears, insecurity, pride, guilt, shame, it's all about us. It's all about self-centered. And so there is a prayer that I would like to share with you, and this is a prayer that I prayed back then when I sat at that part. But this is a prayer that I can pray every day and that I do pray every day. And it's a simple prayer. And you can write this down if you like. It goes, "My Creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray now that you remove every single defect of character that stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Give me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. Amen." Simple prayer. Simple prayer that you can state. But see, here's the thing. I know. This is probably completely different, probably completely new for you. Because I know it was completely different and completely new for me. It was a totally different experience. I never experienced prayer in that way. I never even experienced God in that way. You know why? And I'm going to leave you with this. Because I only prayed to God when I needed something. I only prayed when I wanted something. I only prayed when there was trauma or a crisis happening. Yeah, when there was disaster going on in my life, I prayed, doggone it. Oh yeah, when that guy had the gun to my head, I was like, God, hey, either he's going to kill me or you're going to help me. Which one is going to be? As many times as the times that I got pulled over, God, please don't send me to jail. Raise your hand. I know that you are asking God for stuff when you are in a disaster, when you are in a crisis. You're asking, please, God, please help me. That's what the baby does. Remember the baby gets in a crisis and the baby's like, wah! They're crying and they're, please, mom, please, I need the bottle. I need something. Please rescue me, save me. That mentality starts as a kid. Unfortunately, I never grew up out of that mentality or that type of thinking until I did. And that's why I am sharing this with you, so you can know my experience first and foremost. I mean, a first-hand experience is really what I was trying to say. We leaving that there. We're not editing this. A first-hand experience. Yeah. I never grew up out of that thinking. But at least you know that now, and then at least you can see how I did grow up out of that thinking, how I am clearing the wreckage, so that you can have someone that you can relate to, identify with, and that we can clear the wreckage together. So when I tell you that this process is transformational, it is. Believe you me. Believe me when I tell you that, because you're looking at a person who is transformed, and you are listening to a person who is transformed. Transformers, more than meets the eye. Some of y'all listening probably are too young to even know about that cartoon until you saw the movie. Anyway, but it really is transformational, because till this day, years and years later, it produced a genuine relationship with God. Not one where it's like, oh, what can I get from you, God? What can I get from you today, God? What are you going to give me? No, not one of those type deals. But what can I give God? And you know exactly what that is, right? Praise and thanksgiving. And until next time, folks, as I always leave you, take some time to look inside so that the wreckage can begin to clear. Peace.